Just a quick video on some things, some ideas for optimal running mechanics. All right, and, I want to emphasize that I'm not a running form coach. They're really good, skilled professionals to do that. I just want to kind of give you the nuts and bolts that have been validated in research and kind of a way that we can break those down and practice them so we can apply them to our run. Now, when we talk about running, there are three things that we want to look at for optimal form, quote unquote. Number one is an optimal trunk alignment over our feet, okay? Which means that we want to find what's called a neutral spine. Okay, a lot of people when they run, they'll lean back excessively, they'll lean forward excessively, and the problem is that creates more stress on the body. And over the course of a marathon or a long run, that's going to be a problem because we're not as efficient as we could possibly be. So the first thing that we want to do is this begins in just static standing and walking. Okay, is learn to walk with just a neutral spine. And so what we do in order to learn that is you can take, when we look at a neutral spine, this is me in what is called lordosis. This is where I'm really arching my back, and this is what we see with a lot of people with tight hips. For other people, they're in a kyphosis where everything is rounded out. Kind of want to find a place in the middle. Okay, so what you can do is you can round your back as much as you can, then arch your back as much as you can. Do that a couple times, and then just find a spot in the middle. Okay, and that might be hard to kind of figure out or quantify. What I want you to think about doing is just tighten your butt, tighten your abs, and you'll get into that position. Okay, so you see that now I have a slight arch in my back, but it's not hugely excessive. So now what I want to do in order to, again, just kind of quantify this is put a stick on my back. Okay, so the stick is on my back here. I feel that there's a slight arch in my back. There's a slight, I feel it in contact with my upper back and my head. Okay, now as I'm walking around, if I find myself deviating from this stick, then I'm not in the right place. And so again, obviously you're not going to walk around with the stick because that would look weird. But, you can kind of use this to kind of set your posture and then just think about, from here, just think about butt abs are tight. Think about tight about 30% and just practice walking around, with the butt abs tight, trying to maintain this alignment. It takes a while, but again, that's going to be something that will help you. The other two factors that we want to address, okay, are the position of our feet. Okay, so how far or not our foot contacts the ground in front of us, okay, would be one, as well as the timing of our foot strike. And so I'm gonna just focus on my feet so you get a better idea of what that looks like. Okay, so you see, obviously my beautiful feet here. Okay, and oftentimes with running, what ends up happening is we'll contact too far in front, okay, of our body, and what that ends up doing is it creates a lot more stress and demand on my body to have to pull myself back over. Okay, if we want to be as efficient as we possibly can, we want to be landing, as close to the body as possible in order to just optimize, running mechanics. And again, when we're trying to run fast and, break records, that kind of thing, it's going to be a different scenario. We're going to have to break some rules, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But with this, as I'm walking, practicing that by keeping my feet as close under my body as possible, as opposed to walking forward where I'm taking big strides out in front. So think smaller steps, feet contact right under the trunk. The other thing is where our feet land. Okay, a lot of people, 4-foot running is a big thing. Landing on the toes, and that's been popularized recently with like the barefoot running craze and all of that. Heel strike is another one that, some runners are told to land on their heels. Really what we want is to land on our 4-foot. Okay, we want to kind of be shifted between those two places, okay, because that's going to make it as optimal as possible in terms of the distribution of force, okay? And those are really the big rocks as far as, what we want in optimal running gait. Again, I am not a form coach by any means, but just practicing this and walking, learning this stuff standing, really working on your posture where your weight is in your midfoot, your trunk is above directly above your hips, as opposed to leaning forward excessively or leaning back excessively. And then walking with that is going to make a big difference as far as your ability to to run faster. I like to practice walking, and then we start to do a walk jog, and then we can extrapolate. A lot of runners, what they'll do is they'll practice proper form with a slower run, before they speed up and they start to have to break some of those mechanics as they default to what they're used to. But that's some ideas. Look at that. Let me know how you like it.